Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the brand new, supposed to be brand new, but the updated Extreme Z area for the Fated Bloodlines edition. So this was originally obviously a anniversary first, but now obviously with the advent that Global got the Goku Jr. and the Vegeta Jr. LR before the EX parts of the anniversary, it's now technically just an update. So this is the Fated Bloodlines Extreme Z area. Obviously there's a limit on the characters that you can use, and you have to use the appropriate characters in every single stage. So in stage 2 you have to use the LR unit, in stage 3 you have to use Goku and Chichi, and in stage 4 you have to use Vegeta. So yeah, obviously there is a lot of benefit to taking on these stages, not to mention that you'll be getting 4 stones for stages 3 and 4, just the difficulties, but you will be getting stones for the second stage as well, along with some stones from the missions, but the main priority will be obviously completing the units so that you can get the tickets in relation to your guaranteed 77 LR summon. So here we have obviously standard procedure. You are going to, in stages 3 and 4, go onto the left path and the right path to get certain medals that you will receive to Extreme Z Awaken your units. On the first difficulty, the left hand side will drop you bronze medals, the right hand side will drop you silver, and on the second difficulty the left hand side will drop gold medals and the right hand side will drop rainbow medals. Obviously the second stage, which is for the Tech, LR, Gohan, Goten and Trunks, is a stage that doesn't have paths. You will just simply need to repeat the stage until you have the Extreme Z Awakening medals. Now there are 2 methods to go about this. You can just start with the LR stage, and then you can utilize the LR in every single other stage, or I would recommend you start with the 3rd and 4th stage and instead finish those stages, finish Extreme Z Awakening the Goku and Chichi and the Bulma and Vegeta, and then rather see how those units do. So I would highly suggest doing that instead. I think it's a much easier method overall. I think it's a lot better for you, and personally I think it's going to make the second stage easier, but it's just a really nice method of progression. Now I'm going to be building the team out of as many free-to-play units as possible. Where not, I will try and use units like this World Tournament Goku that are just a little bit more accessible, but you can use whichever units you really want to. That Kaioken Goku can be obtained with a red stone, but yes, try and obviously pick up whatever units you can, but ideally you want to roll with the strongest units possible. Now remember that you are given your friend lead, you cannot choose them. It is 100% just given to you, and they are a 0% unit. The way you can obviously improve your time in these stages is to give hidden potential orbs to your units, obviously to try and maximize their stats so that you can take on the stage, maximizing super attack levels, but just in general trying to obviously use the strongest units that you can. The quicker you make this process, the easier it will be. As I said, on the left hand side is bronze medals in this difficulty, and on the right hand side is silver. You are going to need 15 bronze medal and 42 silver. This means you will roughly need to run this first difficulty 3 times on each side, so 6 times in total. So you are definitely going to want to try and do that at least a little bit, I think, because it is going to help you out. Overall, I think it is going to be a pretty chilled process. It doesn't take too long, and remember, you can get question marks. The question marks will give you random medals of each appropriate typing, so question marks will assist you in kind of stocking up on those medals. It does just make the process a lot easier. With that being said, also highly advise alternating between the left and right hand sides. You're going to want to do so mainly because by alternating you prevent the situation where you pick up a question mark and you have already claimed that medal, or you've already finished with that medal. So for example, if you only do the left hand side, you only get bronze medals, and you pick up a question mark and that question mark is for bronze medals, you kind of wasted your bonus. So rather alternate sides, keep switching from left to right, and keep track especially of what you're farming. You don't want to end up wasting any stamina on farming additional of these medals. There's really no purpose to it. So really realistically try to prevent that situation from happening. As you guys can see here, we are of course using this pretty solid strength Vegeta and Bulma. I actually really like them as a unit, at least for this stage I should say. Obviously they've aged quite a bit. Back in the day they were one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitting units in the game. But they are still very solid, especially for this event. They have type advantage, and he's pretty much a little easy cheat code. So if there's one unit you can take away from this, use that Vegeta. He's going to make your life a lot quicker, especially on the Vegeta family stages. It really does just make things way simpler and way faster. So what we're going to do now is we are going to skip ahead. We're going to jump to a point in time where I have not fully awakened them, but I've awakened both of them to level 130. So at the halfway point where you need to switch stages, and then we will take on the next difficulty from there. Obviously guys, I highly suggest that you awaken them as you go along. It's going to make your life a lot easier, improve their leader skills, improve their passives, just basically make everything a lot smoother. Please remember also that there are missions. These missions are pretty straightforward, but they do give you some Kais and stones, so you're definitely going to want to consider using them as well. They're great rewards, and they really boost the stone count a little bit, but it's the Kais that you also want, because you're going to need those for other units. So yeah, highly suggest that. So obviously we've skipped back here. I finished farming, got them to level 130, and now we're going to take on the next difficulty with the same team, so we're not going to make any other adjustments, barring raising them to 130. You will also notice that I would suggest putting hidden potential orbs in them. It is going to help you out a lot. So yeah, obviously the strategy doesn't really change too much at this point. You're going to be running the same team with the same units. None of them really performed too badly either, so I can't really say there's too much that you need to change or adjust, at least when taking on these Extreme Z area bosses. Like I said, if you are struggling, consider using some of your lower tier gear on your units. Even if you're just giving them something like 200 extra health, or 300 extra health, or 100 extra attack, things like that. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it could be enough to push you over the edge and just kind of really just make you have a much easier time overall, basically. So try and think about it, contemplate using that lower level equipment. If you're not going to use it on anything else, I think it's genuinely something that's really quite great to utilize, and I think overall it's generally quite fair to use equipment on things like this, at least to make it go faster. I don't really have an issue like with using these kind of situations, to use up some of that lower level gear and really just have an easier time. I hate how long some of these things take, so for me, throwing level 1 crits on all my units is going to make my life go a little bit easier than I can suggest it to everyone else, especially with the chain battle. Obviously being out right now, you can use that advantage of all that equipment to make your life a bit easier. Then we move on to the Vegeta's one. Guys, just a reminder please that the left hand path is for gold medals and the right hand path is for rainbow medals. You're going to need 30 of each. The premise follows the same as the first stage, or first difficulty I should say, in that you are going to need to run each side 3 times in total, for a total of 6 entire attempts at the stage. Obviously if you get a question mark, that's going to drop down, so yeah, no need to really panic too much about that. But again, like I said, this Vegeta, he's kind of our best friend at this point, at least for this stage. So he's gonna hopefully make real light work of this stage overall. But yeah, you know, for me it was a really straightforward event. There wasn't anything too crazy. I think players need to keep an eye out for. It's a very easy event that, you know, a lot of you are going to be able to get done quite quickly and get those tickets, because that's realistically what everyone wants. You know, we all want to get the tickets done, and the units are very secondary this time, I feel, to the reward of completing this event and completing it during the anniversary window. So obviously if you're watching this while the anniversary has ended, please note that the ticket missions are only in relation to this event during the duration that it is up during the anniversary. So just remember that. Now obviously we've done the second difficulty. What we're going to do is we're going to cut back when I have finished farming the units. We're then going to take on stage 2, and we're going to complete it and then wrap everything up. Please remember obviously to constantly check your missions so you can claim those rewards as you are going along. But here we go, we've now skipped ahead, we've fully awakened, or we've fully received our materials to awaken our units. Now if we go to the screen here, you'll see I've also rainbowed the units. It's very important to rainbow them at this time, and please remember that you do need to use a second copy of the unit at 5 SA to raise its SA to level 15, which I will show you here. So I did the same thing for Goku and Chichi, but you'll see there's a second copy of the unit with 5 out of 10 SA. You just simply need to train them into the unit, and that will raise the SA to 15 out of 15. Very simple stuff. Now with both of those units rainbowed and fully Extreme Z awakened, we'll have a nice easier time in taking out the the Gohan, Goten and Trunks unit. Now obviously you don't need to do this. I just suggest doing it in this order because you have to technically fully Extreme Z awaken all of the units anyway. So doing it this way really doesn't hinder you in any way, shape or form. So I highly suggest that you do so. But in this, obviously, please remember that you are going to get a friend, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks as a lead. They only lead joined forces and hybrid Saiyans. So you need to make sure that the units you do use are hybrid Saiyans units. You can use the AGL Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. from the event itself as well. They're a great pickup. And then you can obviously use these 2 joined forces units. So you can make a pretty good free-to-play team. Obviously, you don't have to do this team. You can do whatever team you want. I just found that this team worked pretty well. At the end of the day, I think it worked pretty well. And yeah, just worked nicely, basically, from my perspective. So yes, obviously, just taking on the event here. Nothing really too crazy in terms of difficulty. I didn't find it to be too hard. For the most part, had a relatively easy time taking on the stage. I think if there's anything obviously to be aware of, it's the friend unit. Please remember that the friend unit, technically doesn't have any hidden potential invested in it, so it's not going to hit very hard, so you're better off just moving it off rotation. That's generally speaking, yeah, like that's pretty good, at least in terms of everything. And yes, overall, I think for the most part, yeah, everything is more than fine. Very simple stage. So this stage, you're going to need 45 rainbow medals in total, and generally on a run you'll get between 4 and 5 depending on how many you pick up. So, or question marks will drop 7. So generally speaking, you need to run this stage between 7 to 9 times, considering, well, it depends on your luck with question marks, but it took me around 6 or 7 attempts, I believe. Worst case scenario, you're looking at about 9 or 10, so you should be quite fine to take on the stage. And please remember, guys, if you are looking at obviously awakening the alarm, just remember that you are going to need to have raised the unit to 20 SA. By doing so, by having a second copy of the unit, and to get its SA to 25, you're going to need to use a third copy of the unit that you have awakened. So you can see I've got all that prepped right here. But that should be everything. So thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you need to, and bye.